What's up guys, it's Logan with the Motorcycle Forge, and today we're going to be working on an FXR 150. So this is one of the crankcase halves here, and these are super shiny. We've vapor blasted them, got them ready for assembly, and then we've washed them all out, cleaned out all the threads. Very time consuming. Right, so now we're going to use our 3 principles for bearing installation: heat, lube, and hammer. So we're going to heat them up around in here, and then we're going to bit of lube on the bearing and they should slide right in. And we've got the hammer for extra persuasion. Getting these bearings is pretty straightforward, but one thing you have to remember is the right hand crankcase bearing is actually a specialty Suzuki bearing. There's an extra ball bearing in here, and the diameter of the bearing is 1 millimeter narrower. Next thing we're going to do with all these bearings is remove all the seals, except one. So it's this one here. So we'll take one side out, and we'll leave one seal in, and we're going to put it in the seal facing the cage. So we'll see the bearing in here, but the seal will be on the back, and that's because there is an oil feed hole in here, and oil is pushed into this cavity behind the bearing, and we want it to go through the shaft to lubricate the gearbox. So after we've removed the seals from our bearings, the ones that have grease in them, you can just run a little bit of compressed air through them on one side and it'll blow the grease out the other side. Now next we're going to use our lubricant here, our assembly lube, and we've put a light film around the outside of each bearing race. And the last step is we're going to heat this up, get it real hot. So we're just going to use some nice even heat and keep it hot while we're installing the rest of the other bearings. That went absolutely flawlessly. I didn't even have to touch the hammer. And yeah, but it's very hot. So we just got to give it, 5-10 minutes. Aluminium cools down pretty quick. Dissipate all its heat. If this was on a steel bench top, it would cool down even quicker, but it's on wooden, So next, to assemble this motor, we're going to pull the crankshaft into the left-hand case. So we've put a bit of our assembly lube on the inner race here, got it nice and sticky, put a little bit around the crank as well. Now, the lube definitely makes it easier, but there's no simple way to do it. You pretty much got to get it lined up as best you can. It will pull itself straight, so that's not too bad there. It'll hold itself. Now you want to go to this side here, and you want as many spaces. So I've taped a bunch of washers together, and you put that over there, and then you want a couple more spaces, and then a nut, and you pretty much do up the nut and it starts pulling it through, and you just keep adding spaces and tighten the nut till it's all the way home. And just like that, with stack of washers, a nut and a spanner, the crank is in there. It's all nice and smooth. Next up, we need to put in our bearing retainers, and just like that, they are all done up, ready to go together. So next we're going to put this on its back. We've got a couple bits of wood to sit it on, and then we're going to put all the spinny bits in here and in here in the left hand side of the crankcase. Just like that, everything's in. We've got the counterbalance in, we've got it timed up. You can see there's a mark there. We've got the gearbox in, that spins nice and freely. We've got all the selectors in. So next, we're gonna quickly wipe down all the surfaces, the crankcase sealing surfaces, with some brake clean on both halves. So wipe down all that, make sure everything is super clean. And then we'll put some crankcase sealer on it, and then we'll bolt the two halves together. Right, so both crankcase halves are ready to go together. Gently line everything up. There we go. A little bit of brute force and they are together. Now we're going to flip it up the other way. Got a whole bunch of bolts. That's our crankcases back together. Now, with the amount of sealant you use, it is a very, very small amount. So the way that you know that you've done it right is there is the tiniest amount coming up. So it says a little bit on my finger, but it's only just above flush, and that means that there's not excessive sealant. So if you enjoy doing motorcycle stuff like I do and you want more videos like this, then stay tuned. I'll have some more on this. This is an FXR 150 bucket racer, highly modified. Well, not highly modified, modified enough so they go pretty good. So yeah, this is Logan from the Motorcycle Forge. Catch you later.